Captain Hana floated in the command chair of the Silent Thunder, her eyes fixed on the main display. Outside the ship there was nothing but rocks, thousands of asteroids tumbling slowly through the darkness, leftovers from a planet that never formed. It was the perfect hiding place. How long now? She asked quietly. Lieutenant Tay checked his instruments. 15 minutes until they arrive, Captain. Maybe less. Hana nodded. 15 minutes until everything changed. 15 minutes until Earth stopped hiding and showed the galaxy what humanity could really do. She felt sick to her stomach. All crew, battle stations, she said into the ship's communication system. This is not a drill. Weapons free in 10 minutes. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. Around her, the bridge crew moved with quiet efficiency. No one spoke unnecessarily. They all knew what was coming. They had been preparing for this moment for 2 weeks, ever since Ambassador Ara walked out of the council chambers. The Kasari Empire had not wasted any time. Within days of the council meeting, they had announced their intention to seize Jericho Prime, one of Earth's outer colonies. They claimed it was in disputed territory, though everyone knew that was a lie. The Kasari simply wanted to test whether Earth would actually fight back. Thousands of human families lived on Jericho Prime. Farmers, scientists, teachers, children. None of them had done anything wrong. They just wanted to live in peace. The Kasari were sending a fleet to take that away from them. Contact, Tay said suddenly. Multiple ships dropping out of faster than light, counting. 27 vessels, all Kasari military. They matched the fleet composition that intelligence predicted. Show me, Hana said. The main display changed. Now it showed the Kasari fleet hanging in space about 2 million kilometers away. They were massive ships covered in weapons and armor. The kind of fleet that could easily overwhelm a colony's defenses. But Earth had not left Jericho Prime defenseless. And more importantly, Earth had not left it alone. Signal the fleet, Hana ordered. All ships prepare to engage. Remember, we let one ship escape, only one. Make them understand what happened here today. Yes, Captain, Tay replied. Hana watched as the Kasari fleet began moving toward Jericho Prime. They were not even trying to be careful. Why would they? They thought they were attacking a weak colony protected by inferior human ships. They had no idea that 12 Earth warships were hidden in the asteroid field, waiting. Fleet Commander Vrax is broadcasting to the colony, the communications officer reported. He is demanding immediate surrender. Let me hear it, Hana said. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Humans of Jericho Prime, this is Fleet Commander Vrax of the Kasari Empire. You are occupying territory that belongs to the Kasari people. You have 1 hour to evacuate this planet and leave all structures intact. If you resist, we will destroy your colony and everyone in it. This is your only warning. Hana felt her hands curl into fists. The arrogance in that voice. The casual threat to murder thousands of innocent people. This was why Earth had tried so hard to avoid war. Because once it started, there was no going back. Sir, Tay said quietly. Admiral Day is on secure channel. Hana tapped her console. Admiral Day's face appeared on a small screen, broadcasting from Lunar Command back in Earth's solar system. Captain Choi, he said, you have your orders. Show them what we can do. But remember, we are not monsters. We are not like them. I understand, sir, Hana replied. One ship survives to tell the story. One ship, Day confirmed. He looked tired, older than he had just 2 weeks ago. Make it count, Captain. Make them understand that attacking Earth's people is not something they can ever do again. The transmission ended. Hana took a deep breath and looked at her crew. Young faces, all of them. Some had probably never fired a weapon in anger before today, but they were ready. They had to be. Activate quantum displacement drives, she ordered. All weapons online. Begin the attack. The Silent Thunder seemed to shimmer and then simply vanished from normal space. It did not move exactly. It existed in multiple quantum states at once, making it impossible to detect or target. One moment it was hidden in the asteroids, the next it was right beside the Kasari fleet. 11 other Earth ships did the same thing, appearing out of nowhere around the enemy vessels. The Kasari fleet had perhaps 5 seconds to realize they were under attack. It was not enough time. Hana watched the display as her ship's weapons fired. They were not lasers or missiles or any weapon the galaxy recognized. They were matter conversion beams, technology that Earth had developed in secret. The beams touched the hull of a Kasari warship, and the ship simply came apart at the molecular level, dissolving into nothing. It was over so fast that it barely seemed real. One moment there was a massive warship. The next moment there was just empty space and a cloud of scattered atoms. All around the battlefield the same thing was happening. Kasari ships were trying to return fire, but their weapons could not lock onto targets that kept phasing in and out of normal space. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons and kinetic projectiles, were useless against beams that simply unmade matter. "Target the flagship," Hana ordered. "Disable but do not destroy. That is the one that will carry our message." Her weapons officer nodded and adjusted his aim. The matter conversion beam touched Fleet Commander Vrax's ship, but only briefly. Just enough to destroy its engines and weapons, leaving it drifting helplessly. The entire battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, 26 Kasari warships had been completely destroyed. Not damaged, not disabled, simply erased from existence. The only ship left intact was the flagship, and it was powerless, its crew trapped inside. Hana opened a communication channel to the flagship. On her screen, she could see the bridge of the Kasari ship. It was chaos. Smoke filled the air. Injured crew members were crying out. And in the center of it all, Fleet Commander Vrax stared at the camera with wide, terrified eyes. "Commander Vrax," Hana said calmly. "Can you hear me?" What are you?" Vrax whispered. "We are humans," Hana replied. "We are the people you just tried to murder. We are the species your council has been mocking and dismissing for 50 years. She leaned forward slightly. "We are the ones who were holding back." Vrax's face had gone pale. His reptilian features were frozen in an expression of pure horror. "This is impossible," he said. "Your technology. We saw your ships. They were nothing special. You were weak. We let you think that," Hana said, "because we wanted peace. We wanted to be your friends. But you and your council decided that kindness was weakness. You decided that patience was cowardice." She gestured at the empty space where his fleet had been. "This is what happens when you push us too far. 26 ships. Thousands of your warriors gone. We could have done this at any time in the last 50 years. We chose not to. Remember that when you return home." "You cannot do this," Vrax said, his voice shaking. "The Council will unite against you. Every species in the galaxy will what?" Hana interrupted. "Will attack us. Let them try. You just saw what happens. Your entire fleet was destroyed in less than 20 minutes. And this is not even our best technology. We are still holding back, Commander. We are still showing mercy." She tapped a few controls. "I am restoring your communications and your emergency life support. You have enough power to send a message and enough air to survive until rescue arrives. When you get home, you will tell everyone what happened here. You will tell them that Earth warned the Council. You will tell them that we tried diplomacy. And you will tell them that what happened to your fleet will happen to anyone else who tries to harm human colonies." Vrax just stared at her, unable to speak. "One more thing," Hana added quietly. "Your brother, Councillor Vreth, was laughing at us in the council chambers 2 weeks ago. Tell him that Earth remembers. Tell him that every insult, every unfair tax, every denied request, we remember all of it. And tell him that we are done asking for permission to be treated with respect." She ended the transmission and sat back in her chair, feeling suddenly exhausted. "Take us back to the asteroid field," she ordered. "Set up defensive positions around Jericho Prime. I want this colony protected until the main fleet arrives." "Yes, Captain," Tay replied. As the Silent Thunder slipped back into hiding among the asteroids, Hana looked at the empty space where the Kasari fleet had been. Thousands of lives gone in minutes. Enemy lives, yes. Lives that belonged to people who had come here to commit murder. But lives nonetheless. She hoped it would be enough. She hoped that this demonstration of force would make the galaxy understand that Earth was serious, that they would finally get the respect they deserved without having to kill anyone else. But deep down she knew better. The Council would not stop. They could not stop, because stopping would mean admitting they had been wrong about humanity from the very beginning. The war had only just started. Director Yuna sat in a dark room deep beneath Earth's surface, watching dozens of screens at once. Each screen showed a different alien world, a different government facility, a different panicked meeting. The entire galaxy was in chaos, and she was watching all of it happen in real time. Earth's intelligence network was far more sophisticated than anyone knew. For 50 years, while the Council had been dismissing humanity as primitive newcomers, Earth's agents had been infiltrating every major government. They had planted listening devices, hacked communication networks, and recruited informants. They knew everything, and right now everything was falling apart. The Vrolan Republic just pulled its ambassador from the Council headquarters. One of her analysts reported. They are requesting emergency talks with Earth. The Tesseran Union is mobilizing its fleet, another analyst said, but not to attack us. They are setting up defensive positions around their own territory. They are scared. Una allowed herself a small smile. Good. Fear was better than arrogance. Fear meant they would think before attacking. On one of the central screens, she watched a recording of Fleet Commander Vrax's escape pod being recovered by a Kasari rescue ship. The entire conversation had been intercepted and was now spreading across the galaxy. Vrax's terrified voice describing how Earth's ships had appeared from nowhere, how 26 warships had been destroyed in 17 minutes, how humanity's weapons simply made matter disappear. The recording ended with Vrax saying the words that were now being repeated on every alien world. They were holding back. By the stars, they were actually holding back. Director, her communications officer called out, Ambassador Ara is requesting a conference. Priority 1. Put her through, Una said. Ara's face appeared on the main screen. She looked exhausted with dark circles under her eyes. She had not slept since returning from the Council chambers. The Council is trying to declare us a threat species, Ara said without preamble. High Arbiter Quillan is calling for an emergency vote to authorize military action against Earth. Let him try, Una replied calmly. Our intelligence shows that more than half the Council species are too frightened to vote against us now. And at least a dozen are actively trying to open separate peace negotiations. That is what I wanted to talk to you about, Ara said. Counselor Mira contacted me. She wants a private meeting. She says there are other species that want to break away from the Council and form an alliance with Earth. Una leaned forward with interest. Counselor Mira was an avian species delegate, one of the few who had consistently voted in favor of giving Earth equal rights. She had a reputation for honesty, which was rare in galactic politics. How many species? Una asked. She mentioned 3 by name, Ara said, but she hinted there could be more. Species that have been oppressed by the Council's dominant powers for centuries. They see Earth as their chance to break free. And they want us to protect them, Una said. It was not a question. Yes, Ara confirmed. They know we have the military power now. They want to be on the winning side. Una thought about this. An alliance of weaker species, protected by Earth's military, could completely reshape galactic politics. It would also paint an even bigger target on humanity's back. Set up the meeting, Una decided, but make sure it is completely secure. If the Council finds out about this before we are ready, they might panic and do something stupid. More stupid than they have already done, Ara asked with a tired smile. You would be surprised, Una replied. After Ara's transmission ended, Una turned her attention to another screen. This one showed a classified briefing being delivered to the Kasari Military Command. She had agents embedded deep enough to access even their most secure meetings. Counselor Vreth was speaking, his voice filled with rage. His brother's fleet had been destroyed and he wanted revenge. He was demanding that the Kasari Empire mobilize its full military might. Over 500 warships, the largest fleet they had ever assembled. They think we are weak because we showed mercy, Vreth was saying. They spared my brother's ship, thinking we would be grateful. But mercy is weakness. We will attack with everything we have. We will show these humans what real power looks like. Una sighed and made a note to inform Admiral Day. The Kasari Empire was not going to back down. They would need to be dealt with more permanently. Another screen showed a meeting of Earth's own leadership. President Na was speaking to the military commanders and civilian advisors. We have shown them what we can do, President Na was saying, but we cannot keep fighting defensive battles. Every time we destroy a fleet, they will send another. We need to end this quickly. General Jin, the commander of Earth's ground forces, nodded in agreement. The longer this drags on, the more likely it is that other species will unite against us. We need to demonstrate overwhelming superiority now, while they are still disorganized. But not at the cost of our humanity, President Na said firmly. We did not fight for 50 years to maintain our morals just to throw them away now. If we become the monsters they accused us of being, Then what was the point? Yuna agreed with that sentiment. Earth's greatest weapon was not its technology. It was the fact that humanity had chosen restraint over destruction, mercy over revenge. That was what would ultimately win them respect, not fear. But respect required survival, and survival required winning this war decisively. Director? One of her analysts interrupted her thoughts. We are detecting unusual activity in the Drukai sector. Multiple encrypted transmissions, high-level diplomatic codes. The Drukai have been silent for over a century, but now they are suddenly very active. Yuna frowned. The Drukai were a mysterious species that rarely interacted with the rest of the galaxy. They were technologically advanced, but they kept to themselves. The fact that they were suddenly paying attention to Earth's conflict was concerning. What are they saying? Yuna asked. We cannot break the encryption yet, the analyst admitted. But we did intercept one unencrypted message. It was addressed to High Arbiter Quilon. It was a simple question. How much would you pay to make the human problem disappear? Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. The Drukai were offering to sell weapons to the Council, weapons from a species that was rumored to be thousands of years more advanced than anyone else in known space. Get me Admiral Day immediately, Yuna ordered. We have a new problem. While waiting for the connection, Yuna pulled up everything her agency had on the Drukai. It was not much. They appeared about 5,000 years ago, claimed several systems, and then mostly withdrew from galactic affairs. They occasionally traded advanced technology, but only for incredible prices. They had never taken sides in any conflict. Until now. Admiral Day's face appeared on her screen. He looked as tired as Arrowhead, the weight of command aging him visibly. What is it, Yuna? He asked. The Drukai are offering to sell weapons to the Council, Yuna said bluntly. We do not know what kind of weapons yet, but given the Drukai's reputation, it cannot be anything good. Day was silent for a moment. Can we stop the sale? Not without revealing how deeply we have penetrated galactic communications, Yuna replied. And even then, the Drukai might just sell to them anyway. They do not seem to care about politics, only profit. Then we need to prepare for the worst, Day said. If the Council gets their hands on advanced Drukai technology, this war could become much more difficult. There is another option, Yuna said carefully. We could try to buy the weapons ourselves. Outbid the Council. With what? Day asked. We do not know what the Drukai want. It might not even be something we can provide. Then we find out, Yuna insisted. We have agents who can make contact. We can at least try. Day considered this, then nodded slowly. Do it, but be careful. We do not know enough about the Drukai to trust them. This could be a trap. After ending the call with Admiral Day, Yuna turned back to her screens. The galaxy was falling apart around Earth, and somehow humanity had become the center of it all. 50 years of hiding their strength, 50 years of patient diplomacy, and it had all come down to this. War was spreading. Alliances were forming and breaking. Species that had been friends for centuries were suddenly questioning each other, and at the center of it all was Earth, the planet that everyone had dismissed as irrelevant. On one screen, High Arbiter Quilon was giving a speech to the remaining Council members. He looked desperate, his ancient face twisted with anger and fear. He was calling for unity, for all species to stand together against the human threat. But fewer than half the delegates were even present. The others had already fled to their homeworlds or were busy negotiating with Earth in secret. The Council was dying. The power structure that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was crumbling, and it was all happening because humanity had finally said no more. Yuna wondered if this was what Earth's leaders had wanted when they authorized the first strike. Probably not. They had hoped that one demonstration of force would be enough to earn respect. Instead, it had triggered the collapse of the entire galactic order. There was no going back now. Earth had shown its hand. The only way forward was to see it through to the end, whatever that end might be. She looked at the screen showing Admiral Day's command center. Ambassador Era stood in the center of the massive council chamber. The room was so large that her voice would have been lost without the floating microphones that carried her words to every corner. Above her, hundreds of alien delegates sat in curved rows looking down at her like she was some kind of insect under examination. She had been speaking for 20 minutes now. Her throat was dry, but she kept going. This was humanity's last chance. For the 43rd time in 10 years, we are asking for fair treatment, Ara said, keeping her voice steady. Earth has followed every rule. We have paid every fine. We have accepted every restriction you placed on us. But we cannot continue like this. A rippling laugh came from the upper section. Counselor Vreth, a massive reptilian creature with scales that shimmered green and gold, was making no effort to hide his amusement. Several other delegates joined in the laughter. The humans want fairness, Vreth said, his voice booming across the chamber. How sweet. How naive. You have been part of the Galactic Council for barely 50 years. Some of us have been here for thousands. You think this makes you equal to us? Ara felt her jaw tighten. She had expected this. They had warned her that the Council would not listen. But she had to try. Earth had to try. We are not asking for special treatment, Ara continued. We are asking for the same rights you give to every other member species. The right to vote on policies that affect us. The right to trade without paying triple the taxes everyone else pays. The right to expand our colonies without needing approval that never comes. High Arbiter Quilon, the leader of the Council, waved one of his 4 arms dismissively. He was an ancient being, his skin pale and wrinkled like old paper. His eyes were completely black, showing no emotion at all. Your complaints are noted, Ambassador, Quilon said in a bored tone, as they were noted the last 42 times. The Council has made its position clear. Earth is a junior member. You will gain full rights when you have proven yourselves worthy, perhaps in another century or 2. We have proven ourselves, Ara said, and now there was an edge in her voice. We have sent aid to struggling colonies. We have shared our medical advances freely. We have never broken a treaty or violated another species' territory. What more do you want from us? Time, Quilon said simply. Patience, obedience. Ara reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. She held it up for everyone to see, then activated it. The air above her head shimmered, and suddenly the entire chamber was filled with holographic images. The delegates gasped. Some leaned forward in their seats. The images showed Earth's ships. But these were not the simple cargo vessels and small defense craft that everyone knew humans used. These were warships. Massive warships that made the Council's own military vessels look like children's toys. The holograms shifted. Now they showed weapons tests. A beam of pure white energy that touched an asteroid and simply made it disappear. Fighters that blinked in and out of existence, moving faster than anything in the known galaxy. A ship that seemed to reach into a star itself and pull out its energy. The chamber was silent now. No one was laughing. For 50 years, Earth has been holding back, Ara said quietly. We developed these technologies decades ago. We could have shown them to you at any time. We could have demanded respect. But we chose peace instead. We chose to try diplomacy first. Lies, Vreth hissed, but his voice was uncertain now. These images are fake. Humans are barely capable of basic spaceflight. They are not fake, Ara said. Every image can be verified. We have been testing these systems in deep space, far from any inhabited systems. We did not want to frighten anyone. We wanted to be welcomed as equals, not feared as threats. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many delegates as she could. But we cannot wait any longer. Earth's outer colonies are struggling. Our people are suffering under unfair taxes and restrictions. We came here today to ask one final time for fair treatment, not as a favor, not as something we must earn, but as something we deserve as living, thinking beings. High Arbiter Quilon's expression had not changed. He studied the holograms for a long moment, then looked back at Ara. Even if these images are real, he said slowly, you are still only one species. The Council represents thousands. Do you really think you can threaten us? I am not threatening anyone, Ara said firmly. I am warning you. There is a difference. Is there? Quilon's black eyes glittered. It sounds like a threat to me. Before Ara could respond, a new hologram appeared beside her. This one showed Admiral Day, broadcasting from Earth's moon. He was an older man with gray hair and a weathered face that had seen too many difficult decisions. He wore his military uniform with quiet dignity. High Arbiter, Day said, his voice calm and measured. Ambassador Ara speaks the truth. These capabilities are real, but they are only a fraction of what Earth has developed. We did not want to use them. We still do not want to use them. But we will if we must. Quilon's face twisted into something that might have been a smile. Then you have made your choice, he said. If you will not accept your place, then you will face the consequences. The Council demands that Earth surrender 3 of its outer colonies immediately. Consider it payment for your arrogance today. The chamber erupted in voices. Some delegates protested, but many more voiced their agreement. Era stood frozen, unable to believe what she was hearing. They were actually demanding that Earth give up colonies that humans had built with their own hands, on worlds that had been empty before they arrived. She looked up at Admiral Day's hologram. His face was grim, but he nodded once. Then his image flickered and changed. Ara saw that he was reading something on a screen in front of him. When he looked back at her, something in his eyes had changed. "Diplomacy is concluded," Day said quietly, speaking directly to Ara even though thousands were listening. Ara understood. Earth's government had just given approval for the next phase. The phase they had all hoped would never come. She turned back to face the council. The delegates were still arguing among themselves, some laughing at Earth's expense, others looking worried. Keelan sat at the center of it all, looking supremely confident that he had just put the humans in their place. "I want every delegate in this chamber to hear what I'm about to say," Ara announced, her voice cutting through the noise. The chamber fell silent again. "Earth gave you 50 years. 50 years of patience. 50 years of trying to be your friends. 50 years of swallowing our pride and accepting your insults." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We warned you today that we were holding back. You laughed at us. You mocked us. You demanded that we surrender our colonies. So let me be absolutely clear about what happens next." Ara looked directly at High Arbiter Quaylon. "We tried peace. We begged for fairness. We showed you mercy by hiding our true strength. You rejected all of it. So now whatever happens, whatever comes next, remember that you chose this. Not us, you." She turned and walked toward the chamber doors. Behind her, she could hear Vreth laughing again, shouting something about cowardly humans running away. Other voices joined in, mocking her departure. Ara did not look back. She kept walking until the massive doors closed behind her. Only then did she allow herself to take a shaky breath. Her hands were trembling. She had just helped start a war. She had tried everything to prevent it, but in the end, it did not matter. The Council had made their choice. Now they would learn what it meant to push humanity too far. Ambassador Ara walked through the corridors of the Council station, and for the first time in 50 years, other delegates moved aside to let her pass. No more dismissive looks, no more mockery, just fear and respect, mixed together in expressions that she had never seen directed at a human before. 6 months had passed since Kasara fell. 6 months since Earth had demonstrated that they could wage war with both overwhelming force and moral restraint. The galaxy was still trying to understand how both things could be true at the same time. The council chamber looked different now. Half the seats were empty. 17 species had formally requested alliance with Earth and had withdrawn from the council completely. Another dozen were still officially members but were secretly negotiating with humanity. The power structure that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was crumbling like old stone. High Arbiter Keelan sat in his elevated seat, but he no longer looked commanding. He looked old and desperate, his forearms trembling slightly as he called the meeting to order. "We are here to vote on Resolution 847, Quilon announced, his voice lacking its usual authority. "A formal condemnation of Earth's military actions and authorization for coordinated defensive measures." Ambassador Hyun, Earth's economic negotiator, leaned over to whisper to Ara. "He cannot even call it what it is anymore. Not a war resolution, just defensive measures. He knows he does not have the votes for anything stronger." Ara nodded. She had the vote count memorized. Less than 30% of the remaining council members would support Keelan's resolution. It was going to fail spectacularly, and everyone in the chamber knew it. "Before we vote," Ara said, standing up, "I would like to address the council one final time." Keelan looked like he wanted to refuse, but he could not. The rules required that he allow any member to speak before a major vote. "You have 5 minutes, Ambassador." Ara walked to the center of the chamber, the same spot where she had stood 6 months ago delivering Earth's warning. Back then, they had laughed at her. No one was laughing now. 6 months ago, I stood here and told you that Earth had been holding back, Ara began. I warned you that we had tried peace and patience, but that we would not accept disrespect forever. You did not believe me. You laughed. And then you demanded that we surrender our colonies. She paused, looking around at the delegates. Some met her eyes. Others looked away. Since then, the Kasari Empire has fallen. Their fleets have been destroyed. Their homeworld was besieged. But here is what you need to understand. We could have done all of that 50 years ago. We could have arrived at the council with warships instead of diplomats. We could have demanded respect through force instead of asking for it through words. But you did not, Councillor Mira said quietly. The avian delegate was one of the few who had consistently supported Earth. Why? Because we wanted to be better than that, Ara replied simply. We wanted to prove that strength and morality could coexist. That the most powerful do not have to be the most cruel. We wanted to build something new in this galaxy, not just conquer it. Pretty words, Quilon interrupted. But you are still using military force to get what you want. Are we? Ara challenged. What have we demanded? What territory have we claimed that was not already ours? What tribute have we collected? What species have we enslaved? Quilon had no answer. We have not demanded anything except respect, Ara continued. Equal treatment. The same rights you give to every other member species. And when you refused, when you sent fleets to attack our colonies, we defended ourselves. That is not conquest. That is survival. She pulled out a data pad and held it up. I have here a new proposal, not a demand. Not an ultimatum. A proposal. Earth is offering to form a new alliance. Open to any species that wants to join. Free trade. Mutual defense. Equal representation. No species gets special privileges. No one gets to bully anyone else. It is simple, it is fair, and it is available to everyone, including those of you who opposed us. The chamber erupted in voices. Delegates shouting questions, arguing with each other, demanding details. Quilon's voice rose above the chaos. This is an attempt to destroy the Council, to replace our ancient institution with Earth's puppet government. The Council is already destroyed, Ara said bluntly. You destroyed it yourselves through corruption and arrogance. We are just offering an alternative. Anyone who wants to stay with the old Council is free to do so. But they cannot force others to stay with them anymore. Director Yuna watched the Council proceedings from her office on Earth, a small smile on her face. Everything was going according to plan. But she was also monitoring other screens, other threats that Ara did not know about. The Drukai weapons had finally been identified. They were not ships or guns. They were something far more insidious. AI viruses designed to infiltrate and take control of automated systems. If the Council successfully deployed them, they could potentially hack Earth's fleets, turning humanity's own weapons against them. But the Drukai had made a mistake. They had not realized how different Earth's computer systems were. While the rest of the galaxy had developed along similar technological paths, humanity had evolved separately. Earth's AI architecture was completely incompatible with the Drukai virus. Still, Yuna was not taking chances. She had teams working around the clock to ensure every Earth system was protected, and more importantly, she had agents working on acquiring samples of the Drukai virus. If they could reverse engineer it, Earth might be able to use it against their enemies. A priority alert flashed on one of her screens. Yuna immediately focused on it. Director, we are detecting massive fleet movements, her analyst reported. The remaining Council loyalists are gathering their forces. 5 major species, representing approximately 30% of the known galactic military. They are preparing for a coordinated strike. Target? Yuna asked, though she already knew the answer. Earth, Director. They are coming for the homeworld. Yuna felt her blood run cold. This was the nightmare scenario. Not attacks on colonies or border skirmishes, but a direct assault on humanity's home. If Earth fell, everything else would collapse. She immediately contacted Admiral Day. His face appeared on her screen, and she saw that he had already received the same intelligence. They are desperate, Day said grimly. They know if they do not win now, they never will. So they are betting everything on one massive attack. Can we stop them? Yuna asked. Yes, Day replied without hesitation, but not the way we have been fighting. No more mercy, no more restraint. If they come to Earth, they will face the full force of what humanity can do. Everything we have been holding back. Everything? Yuna asked quietly. Everything, Day confirmed. I am recalling all fleets to defend the Sol system. I am activating every weapon platform, every experimental technology, every classified project. When they arrive, they are going to learn what it really means to attack humanity's home. Back at the Council station, Ambassador Ara received an urgent message from Earth. She read it quickly, her face going pale. I must return to Earth immediately, she announced, interrupting the ongoing debate about her proposal. There is a situation that requires my attention. Running away? Quilon sneered. Typical human cowardice. Ara looked at him with something close to pity. You still do not understand, do you? You think this has been us at full strength? You think what happened to the Kasari Empire was the worst we could do? She started walking toward the exit, then stopped and looked back. In the next few days, a coalition of your remaining allies is going to attack Earth itself. They are bringing 30% of the galaxy's military strength. They think that is enough. But High Arbiter, let me tell you something that should terrify you. She paused, letting the words sink in. We are still holding back.
Even now, even after everything, we are still holding back.
But if they attack our home, if they threaten billions of human lives, then the restraint ends. Then you will see what we are really capable of. And I promise you, when this is over, you will wish you had listened to me 6 months ago. She left the chamber in silence. No one tried to stop her. No one mocked her departure this time. Counselor Mira stood up and addressed the stunned assembly. I am withdrawing the Avian Union from the Council effective immediately. We will be joining Earth's alliance. I suggest anyone with sense does the same. 5 other delegates stood and followed her out. High Arbiter Quilon sat alone in his seat, watching his empire crumble around him. He had ruled for over 3 centuries, had commanded respect from thousands of species, had been one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and now, because he had underestimated one small species that had begged for fairness, everything was falling apart. He sent a final message to the Coalition fleet. Destroy Earth at any cost. If we cannot control them, then they must be eliminated. It was the last order he would ever give as High Arbiter, because in 3 days, when the Coalition fleet reached Earth's solar system, the Galactic Council would cease to exist in any meaningful way. The old order was dying, and Admiral Day was preparing to show the galaxy what would rise to replace it. The reckoning was at hand. The Admiral was staring at a map of the galaxy, watching as ship movements were tracked in real time. Earth's fleets were positioned defensive. Admiral Day stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Resolute, looking at the planet below. Kasara was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents, cities that glowed at night like jewels. Billions of Kasari lived on that world. Most of them had nothing to do with the war. They were just ordinary people trying to live their lives. But somewhere down there, hiding among those innocent people, was Counselor Vreth, the person who had mocked Earth at the Council, the person who had sent his brother's fleet to destroy a human colony, the person who was now refusing to surrender even though the Kasari Empire had lost every single battle. Status report, Day said quietly. Commander Leah stepped forward. She was young for her rank, but she had proven herself in the fighter battles above 3 different Kasari worlds. Her pilots were the best in the fleet. We have complete orbital control, Leah reported. All Kasari military installations have been neutralized. Their satellites are gone. Their orbital defense platforms are destroyed. They cannot launch anything into space without us knowing about it immediately. And the blockade? Dee asked. Secure, Leah confirmed. Nothing gets in or out. No supply ships, no communication satellites, nothing. The planet is completely isolated. Day nodded slowly. 3 months had passed since the first strike at Jericho Prime. In that time, Earth's fleets had systematically defeated every Kasari military force sent against them. Ships, stations, defensive fortifications, everything. The Kasari Empire no longer existed as a military power, but Vreth still refused to surrender. He had retreated to the homeworld and was using the civilian population as shields. Military installations were hidden inside cities. Weapons were stored in hospitals. Command centers were buried beneath schools. The message was clear. If Earth wanted to destroy the Kasari military completely, they would have to kill millions of civilians to do it. He thinks we will not do it, Day said, more to himself than to Leah. He thinks we will back down rather than harm innocent people. He is right, is he not? Leah asked quietly. We cannot kill millions of civilians just to capture one coward. No, Day agreed. We cannot. That is what separates us from them. That is why we are the ones who deserve respect. But saying that did not solve the problem. Earth's fleets could not stay here forever. Other threats were emerging across the galaxy. The longer the siege continued, the more vulnerable Earth became elsewhere. There has to be another way, Day muttered. Lieutenant Tay, who had transferred from Captain Hana's ship to serve on the flagship, spoke up from his station. "Sir, we have been detecting increased communication traffic from the planetary government. Governor Kreth has been trying to contact us." "Vreth's puppet?" Day asked skeptically. The planetary governor was supposed to be a civilian leader, but everyone knew he took orders from Counselor Vreth. "Maybe not anymore," Tay replied. "Our intelligence suggests there is a growing divide between Vreth and the civilian leadership. The governor is facing food shortages, power outages, civil unrest. The people are suffering because of this blockade." "Then maybe the governor is ready to talk," Day said. "Open a channel." Governor Kreth's face appeared on the main screen. He was an older Kasari, his scales dulled with age. He looked exhausted and frightened. "Admiral Day," Kreth said, his voice shaking, "I wish to discuss terms of surrender." "I am listening," Day replied. "The civilian government is willing to hand over Counselor Vreth," Kreth said. "In exchange, we ask that you end this blockade and allow humanitarian aid to reach our people. They are innocent. They should not suffer for Vreth's pride." Day felt a spark of hope. Finally, someone reasonable to talk to. "I accept your terms," Day said. "Hand over Counselor Vreth and any military personnel who participated in the attack on Jericho Prime, and the blockade ends immediately. Earth will even provide humanitarian aid ourselves." Kreth's expression showed relief, but also fear. "There is a problem. Vreth has fortified himself inside the capital city. He has loyal military units guarding him, and he has made it clear that he will destroy the entire city rather than surrender." "He would kill his own people?" Leah asked, shocked. "He believes he is saving them," Kreth replied bitterly. "He thinks that if he makes Earth kill civilians to capture him, then the galaxy will turn against you. He thinks he can win by making you into monsters." Day closed his eyes for a moment. So that was Vreth's plan. Turn this into a choice between letting him go free or committing mass murder. Force Earth to prove that they were no better than any other brutal empire. "It will not work," Day said firmly. "We will capture Vreth without harming civilians. I do not care how long it takes," but even as he said it, Day knew time was running out. Reports were coming in about the Drukai. They had sold something to the Council, though Earth's intelligence still did not know what. Whatever it was, it would be arriving soon. Earth needed to finish this siege and redirect forces elsewhere. "There might be another way," Lieutenant Tay said hesitantly. "The stellar manipulation technology. We could use it here." Everyone on the bridge turned to look at him. "Explain," Day ordered. "We could start drawing energy from Kasara's sun," Tay said. "Not enough to cause permanent damage, but enough to dim it noticeably. Show them that we could destroy their sun if we wanted to. The psychological impact would be enormous. It might force Vreth's supporters to abandon him." Day considered this. It was brutal in a way, using fear as a weapon, but it was also nonviolent. No one would die. They would just be terrified, and maybe, just maybe, it would end this siege without bloodshed. "Do it," Day ordered, "but slowly. I want them to watch their sun dimming over days, not hours. Give them time to understand what is happening. Give them time to make the right choice." Over the next week, Earth ships moved into position around Kasara's sun. They used the same technology that had terrified the Galactic Council during Ambassador Era's presentation. Technology that could reach into a star and pull out its energy. The effect was gradual but undeniable. Kasara's sun grew dimmer. Days became shorter. Temperatures began to drop. And everyone on the planet could see the human ships in the sky, glowing with stolen starlight. The panic was exactly what Day had hoped for. Citizens began protesting outside Vreth's fortress, demanding that he surrender. Military units started deserting. Even Vreth's most loyal supporters began questioning whether fighting Earth was worth watching their sun die. Governor Kreth contacted the Resolute again. "It is working," he said, sounding both relieved and frightened. "But Vreth is becoming desperate. He is threatening to execute civilians if they do not stop protesting. This could get very bad very quickly." "Then we need to act now," Day decided. "Commander Leah, prepare your pilots. Sergeant Kwan, ready your ground team. We are going in." The operation began just before dawn, when Kasara's dimmed sun was just beginning to rise. Leah's fighters swept through the sky in a display of aerial mastery that had never been seen before. They moved so fast and with such precision that Kasari anti-aircraft systems could not even track them properly. At the same time, Sergeant Kwan led a team of Earth's special forces into the capital city. They used stealth technology that made them nearly invisible, slipping past Vreth's guards like ghosts. The Kasari military had never faced anything like it. The entire operation took 4 hours. When it was over, Counselor Vreth was in custody along with 63 military officers who had participated in the Jericho Prime attack. Not a single civilian had been injured. Not one building had been damaged. Day watched as Vreth was brought aboard the Resolute in restraints. The once arrogant counselor looked broken now, his scales dull, his eyes empty of the pride that had once filled them. "It was not supposed to be like this," Vreth said quietly as guards led him past. "We were the strong ones. We ruled for thousands of years. How did everything fall apart so quickly?" Day looked at him without pity. "You fell apart because you mistook patience for weakness. You thought that because we chose peace we were incapable of war. You were wrong. What will you do with me?" Vreth asked. "Put you on trial," Day replied. "Let the galaxy see what happens to those who attack innocent people. Not execution, not torture, but justice, because that is what separates us from you." After Vreth was taken away, Day ordered Earth ships to return the stolen energy to Kasara's sun. Within hours, the star was back to its normal brightness. The blockade was lifted. Humanitarian aid ships began arriving, carrying food and medical supplies not just from Earth, but from the dozen species that had secretly allied with humanity. Governor Kreth made a public broadcast to his people. "The war is over. Counselor Vreth is no longer in power. Earth has agreed to help us rebuild. They showed us mercy when they could have destroyed us. I ask that you remember this. Remember who we attacked first, and remember who showed compassion in the end." On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Day allowed himself a moment of relief. The siege was over. The Kasari Empire was defeated, and most importantly, Earth had won without becoming the monsters that Vreth had wanted them to become. But the relief did not last long. A priority message arrived from Director Yuna. "Admiral, we have identified what the Drukai sold to the Co.